Morning. I never ever expected to be here today. When I took over the little company that I ended up owning in Northwest Ohio, I couldn't imagine myself being in front of a room of successful people like you talking about the success of my own business. But I'm here because I want to share with you 3 essentials that were really transformational for my company and I believe could be transformational to yours. Before I get into the material that I want to share with you this morning, I want to tell you a little bit about me. My name is Donna Martin, and I went to school to be a teacher. I went to Bowling Green State University and got a bachelor's degree to teach secondary education. But through some life circumstances and some economic circumstances, like a recession, I ended up being a journalist because I had studied journalism in college. As it turned out, I spent 6 years writing for newspapers across the United States before I returned to Northwest Ohio, where I had been born and raised. When I came back to the area, I started working for a company that had several divisions, and my job was to run a department inside one of those divisions. I have to tell you that I knew nothing about what I was doing. I didn't study business, I didn't understand profit and loss statements, I didn't understand how to hire or manage people, but there I was. And the truth of it was that I did learn, and I got to be pretty good at managing my department. So as I was looking around this business to look for other opportunities, I saw a little company in a corner that wasn't doing very much. And I thought, wouldn't it be great if I could run that company? So I was able to do that. And before too long, I ended up owning it. What happened over the years through a lot of trial and error and frankly a lot of angst is that I got good at it. And the company started to grow and prosper. It eventually became a $6.5 million business with 60 employees and 5 offices. I ended up selling that company to a Fortune 500 company. And here I am today in the aftermath of that sale. The 3 elements that I want to share with you today are elements that helped me then, they still help me today, and they're things that I learned through a lot of trial and error and a lot of searching. The first element that I want to share is getting a mentor. I was very, very fortunate in a lot of ways, and one of those was that I grew up in a really unhappy home with a really unhappy life. And when I started out trying to find a way to change my future from my past, I ran into a little book called Man's Search for Meaning. That little book, written by Viktor Frankl, taught me 2 of the most important lessons that I've ever learned in my life, and I want to share those with you. The first one was that the control of our future is not out there, it's in here. We can make our future by the way that we frame our world and by the way we think about how it's going to turn out. This concept was completely foreign to me until I read his book. And it completely changed how I viewed what my power was in my own life. It's a very common concept now. You are what you think, and there's a lot of talk around that topic. But at age 22, that was a breakthrough for me. The other thing I learned out of that skinny little book was that there's a space between an action and our reaction. And that space allows us a great deal of flexibility and influence. For many of us, and for me especially for a long time, an action created a reaction that was almost imperceptible. There was no gap between those things. But when we take advantage of the space in between, we can change the outcome tremendously. That gap is part of what they now call emotional intelligence. And emotional intelligence has been written about and researched for many years. But understanding for myself that I had the power to change what could have been a knee-jerk reaction made me a much better leader, a much better boss, and a much better business person.